Rudest in the land. Someone who always can. Don't you know? Flobito!
It's all good in the hood. This is Wassup Flobo After Hours. It's your boy Flobito. I'm enjoying life, and I'm sure you guys are too. You know, the idea about Wassup Flobo After Hours, just sitting here, chatting about life, chatting about the game. And if you haven't followed the podcast version of the show, do so. We're talking Spotify, iTunes, what's going around. But we got a special guest because the boys are back in town, straight off the summer send-off. I want to introduce this guy first, all the way from the Pacific Northwest. Give it up for the guy who bought all the Seattle Kraken merchandise, Jack Farmer.
What's cracking? I'm so excited to be here.
You know how I hate puns. But no show, What's Up Flobo After Hours will be complete with the controversial firebrand, the bad boy himself, Jim Alexander.
What up?
Man, I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm sitting there. It's a good week. It's Monday. You know, I just watched Raw, Monday Night Raw. You know, enjoying the best of all that stuff. And before we even get to that, Jim Alexander, what are you working on? It's been a while since I've seen you. Been a while since I want to get into whatever that is that you're getting into. You know?
Yeah, no. So I mean, I departed LA for now. Put my stuff in storage and dipped. You know how it goes. So
is that it? You're completely cleared out. Everything is just
for my apartment. Yeah. I left my apartment out there, and I came out here to new camping grounds, and you can see I'm on a balcony and all in Chicago. So I mean, I decided to just head back, with family, because I know I got enough intel from the industry and people out there to know that things are just not going to get better, in entertainment or not for the rest of this year. So for me, when I can do things remote, it's literally whether I'm in LA, Chicago, or wherever, I'm still doing the same thing. So I'm still doing Real Talker and doing a lot of press junkets actually coming up now. It's starting to heat up. So that's good. I got some cool interviews in. I just interviewed Bobby Soto from The Tax Collector. So that's one kind of viral. And yesterday had a bunch of teenage girls around the world bombarding me because I misspelled a chick's name from some teen romance novel.
Man,
it was bad. But hey, it gave me so many hits in a day on my website. It was awesome. But
do hits count if they want you dead? I mean, what the?
Yes, legit. I was like, guys, you're like, you misspelled that's her sister. It was like Josephine Langford, right? Her sister's Catherine Langford. She was in Knives Out, and she's got a Netflix show, and her sister's actually coming up too. So she's doing some movies, but apparently you can't get these names confused because the world will be set on fire. I had so much vicious. You guys think I was heel Jim there?
Yes.
This was like
say that.
I murdered someone, Jim. Like I had so much venom and heat coming from around the world. Here's like some chick from Portugal. Here's someone from Brazil. Here's someone from Europe. Chick from Canada. I actually ended up talking with. We're actually chatting offline right now, so something worked out there. But
it's crazy how people get so obsessed with trying to correct people when they're wrong online nowadays.
It was a typo.
But it's a mess up. It's just like, hey, whoops.
They're two sisters, the same last name, and they're both in showbiz, right? So, I mean, they're both the same age almost. I think they're a year apart. I mean, they're very easy. They almost look identical. That's a easy, honest mistake. Sure, it's a mistake, and I have to be correcting myself, but man, like, just one slip up, and I was getting they wanted to slit my throat for it. Come on, man. I've said worse things and done worse things than that.
Of all the things you would have been killed for, if you got killed by teen novels, it'd be kind of weird.
I mean,
but speaking of,
it was vicious. I'm telling you, some of this stuff. I look the comments. I'm like, I'm not even gonna play with this. This is just like I'm kind of like raising my eyebrow, looking like, but damn, these kids, nothing to do, man.
But shout out to Real Talker getting that money. And speaking of getting
what
that money, speaking of what money, let's talk about this guy named Jack Farmer. Jim, last time you met this guy, right? Yep. He had this deal with Brosters.
That's right.
And I do like 5 shows with this guy, and I hear this Brosters promo like 5 different times a week. I mean, how's it working out for you, man? Like, are you good? Or do we get free samples, or what's up?
Are you asking me about Broasters?
I want free samples. That's the whole reason why I'm asking you about it.
The best thing you can do for yourself and for others is to visit www.thebroasters.com and type in promo code BROCODE1. Not only will you get a discount, but you'll get some swag sent your way as well, and you'll get the kind of coffee that's going to get you up and running to start your day or give you that little pick-me-up mid-afternoon. I'm a big fan of those. As you can see, I've got Russo Bro brand right behind me, looking
Sell
over,
out.
making sure I'm working hard. And but there's so many other flavors. I just talked to a guy named James Lott Jr. You may have heard of him. He's also a pundit, a speaker of sorts, and he's a decaf guy. So I pointed him in the direction of the Colombian roast. They've got something for everybody over there. If you're the kind of person that wants to be productive, to be focused, to be awake, to be ready, go to www.thebroasters.com and use bro code 1 today. You're going to be glad you did.
Oh, well, special shout out to people in the chat. If you have questions for us, we'll totally answer that during the course of this episode. What's up, Flobo After Hours? We're hanging out with the man, Jim and Jack. We held it down not only on the summer send-off, but on Monday Night Raw and sometimes NXT. And it's really cool that we're all kind of excelling in our own separate ways, like we're not just being beholden to the black and yellow brand, the bad one, not NXT, the other one.
Yeah. Yeah, I was confused for a second. I was like,
Wait a minute.
Okay.
I just totally went to a hole there. Yeah.
Hey, some of us are doing better with sponsors and coffee, recommendations. There we go. Big
Yeah,
thing
what the hell?
popping, little things stopping.
Yeah, the thing about you, Flobo, man, I am super impressed by you. You go nonstop. You have a show every single day, don't you?
No, every hour, not every every hour. Okay.
I think pretty much daily now. Yeah, for sure. Apparently, there's only another wrestling show that's happening. I'm not part of that one, but as far as NXT draped in gold or New Amsterdam or hopefully all Elite of the Week, if I'm not kicked off on that show by now, everything tournament. Yeah, everything's been pretty round.
Yeah, Jim, when are you gonna get on Everything Tournament?
What the hell?
I'm just bringing it.
I didn't get an invite. I feel like
Evan may be like, "What are you doing, Jack?" But
hey, it's like they told me to come to the club, and I came to the club, and no one let me in. So
it's alone in the club. I can relate to that. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm in front of the door still. There's no doorbell to ring, so I'm knocking on the door. So whenever someone opens, cool.
All those weeks you wouldn't let people into King's Court coming back to get you.
Hey, man,
It's true. It's true.
Hey, that King's Court was busy, man, and a lot of quality candidates. I'm kind of curious where they are at.
Who would be in it now? I'm curious. Like, who's in the King's Court now? 'Cause I know Mandy Rose is out. Liv Morgan has to be out because she hasn't won a match in like 3 years.
It doesn't matter. She's always in.
It doesn't matter. She's like jobbing at the door.
Care about matches. I care. Otis thing. I do hold a grudge against that. I will always hold a grudge.
Yes, you did. Yes, completely.
Why? Why don't you like Otis?
Because he's fat, apparently. Like, leave him alone.
Fat, garbage wrestler.
If he was a fat, good wrestler, would you like him?
Dusty Rhodes.
But there's nothing. His character. You know what he is? He's a modern day fat Santino Morella. That's what he is. Straight up.
I think Santino Morella is a better character wrestler, if you want me to be honest with you.
With a goofy gimmick, people were marking out for Santino back in the day, too. Remember?
Santino deserved his.
Santino almost won the Royal Rumble. I almost lost
That's what I'm saying.
And you know what? Charisma. Otis does it. He just gets off on his goofy shticks. But you see, there's no one to pander to. The crowd's not even there. So it's like, I don't know. We'll get into this. I guess I haven't seen wrestling since Extreme Rules. Nothing.
Well, hold on, Jim. You're out there in your high-rise Chicago apartment, living life the best way you can, and you have not seen wrestling since Extreme Rules?
I have not seen since Extreme Rules. I'm halfway through Extreme Rules, and I never went back to finish it.
Wow.
Yep.
Well, fair enough. But wow.
Yeah. No.
It is fascinating to see who is excelling and who's failing miserably without crowds. I think it's interesting. It really peels away a lot of the things I think people relied on, because I think especially in WWE where you have such big crowds and such big production, when you don't have that there, because people will cheer for anyone who comes out with a title.
Totally.
They'll boo whoever they're supposed to boo, but when you strip that away and now that support system isn't there and you're just seeing pure performance, it's amazing how guys like Randy Orton are just shining as like, wow, everything he does is so good. And people like Zelina Vega and MVP are really showing like, wow, why weren't these people used more in the past? Where the people who kind of relied on the crowd all the time are starting to fizzle, and you're like, wait, do I like this person as much as I thought I did?
Because it's talent, not gimmicks. You see, Zelina can run a whole show. Remember when they started out with the quarantine? She was on every segment. We always talked about it on after show. Every segment, Zelina.
I felt that way until tonight, man. Bianca beat the brakes off Zelina, bro.
Oh,
beat the brakes.
On what's going on.
It was good though. Like, yeah, it was,
I'll tell you why. Here's the thing: why I haven't watched wrestling in a month.
Hit me. Wait, let me get you the big screen. Go ahead.
I mean, a month, probably more than a month. So here's the thing. I just feel like I got adjusted to the product without a crowd. I think after a while you get adjusted to it, and it's kind of the new normal in that sense. Like you get adjusted to sports, watching the NBA in a bubble or whatnot. So that wasn't the problem. The problem to me was, and we're taking all the backstage stuff aside from all the writing issues and stuff. You guys should, anyone out there wants to apply, there's plenty of writing jobs right now in WWE. Just go on LinkedIn. But the problem is that when it comes to a point where you need stars, right? You need bona fide stars, and you just kind of wish-washy, don't allow guys to get over. And maybe Heyman was onto something. He was trying to build people. But when you stop pushes for some people, when you give a Money in a Bank to Otis, where we know he's got no future and is not going anywhere, he could not be a legitimate champ in that way, versus giving it to someone who could be over, and that could be their launching pad to potential stardom. You start taking away, like at some point, and this was a big one for me, it became a sketch comedy show. I can't watch Street Profits and Viking Raiders like just do nonsense every week. And I know this was WWE of the late 80s and early 90s, but why did they suck in the late 80s and early 90s? They
I think that's unfair, Jim. Dude, wrestling has always been a variety show. It's always been.
But
you can't tell me any era
you're
that's not the
living
case.
Jim's point though, the difference
You are
is
living on it.
like it's like with a Saturday Night Live, your stories aren't playing out. Like I've always said, the issue with WWE right now has less to do with what they're doing. Like a lot of people are like, do you think this retribution angle is going to go anywhere? Do you think this is going to like what's this going to happen with this person? Whatever. They're starting things is never their problem. It's finishing them. They'll start things and then they stop. So they'll have like Ricochet,
whatever
look at
happened
him
to the
doing
mystery-
stuff, and then he disappears. We got a mechanical spider in a cage that builds up for 3 months, and then there's never mind, we're over it. Like,
Or what about the mystery SmackDown hacker or whatever? I mean, they just always miss out on story. But this happened even a while back. We talk about the whole Hornswoggle thing being McMahon's son when it's supposed to be Kennedy. They just can't find a way to sustain long-term builds. There's no payoff with them. Like, when was the last angle that really, really paid off? They had a lot of angles they invested in a lot. Or the GM, the anonymous GM, that was the whole computer laptop. Like, they just can't.
That was Hornswoggle, by the
their
way.
own way. They can't.
it's always Hornswoggle.
It was Hornswoggle, yeah.
Ugh.
But it paid off. It wasn't a good payoff, but it was Hornswoggle.
But the thing is, like, at some point, this variety show, like, or like when I turned on, honestly, I turned on Extreme Rules right and finished. I see Bray Wyatt doing some Dracula gimmick or something. Like, what the hell is this? This is not even Bray Wyatt. Like, why am I getting this promo that has nothing to do? It's like they're trying to sell a product. Literally, like it's like they're trying to sell like Jack, your promo for doing coffee was 1,000 times better than whatever they're trying to sell storyline.
If you thought the promo was good, you should try the coffee.
Oh my
That's
God.
exactly right.
Stop with this.
I am
Stop.
willing to try the coffee now because I'm sold on that. But when you're selling me something where I'm puzzled and like, what the hell is this about? Where's this? It comes out of left field. It makes no sense to what the storyline's been. They just constantly do that. And at some point, like, I've had enough of this. I'd rather watch, now sports are back. I'm watching 90 Day Fiancé or Find Love Live instead of
You
this.
were always watching that show. Don't blame wrestling.
I know, I do.
I don't know what
Here's the thing. I'm watching it live, not in rerun. And I would watch wrestling live. And now that says a lot. When I'm like, you know what? I don't care to watch Raw live and even get back to it. I'm like, whatever. And that's the thing, because I know what I'm getting now. It's been continuous, like, SNL wannabe skits. It just dumped. There we go. Bro coffee. And SNL skits and the storylines. Look at Liv Morgan's story. We're talking about Liv Morgan.
Who?
That could have been a potential for her to set up with the whole Lana thing. Like, at least it gave her a starting point when she debuted, right? With the Lana gimmick or whatever that was. you gave it one night. You can't constantly screw your wrestlers like this and give them gimmicks and then just sweep the rug underneath them. And then what? How are they going to recover from that? Unless they're like a Randy Orton or a seasoned vet that Jack talks about that are showing their true skills because they're masters in the craft, right? Versus someone who's trying to get over on a gimmick. And you do this enough and you start losing fans. And me being a diehard, lifelong WWE fan, someone that's into the product, that talks about the product, that, does shows about the product, they lost me. And that's bad when they lose someone who does shows about the product to talk about the product when I'm just not interested in it anymore.
Yeah, it was interesting. Something I got asked today on Twitter is like, would you like to see Shayna Baszler join the Hurt Business? And my response was, sure. It depends where it goes, though. That sounds fine. Like, on paper, a lot of things sound fine. I think when people compare like how NXT was to the main roster, everyone's always great in wrestling. We've talked about that. They're all great. Both shows are great, but NXT, I think, just historically has always just continued things and played things out and let things finish instead of just washing them away and pretending like things didn't happen 2 weeks later when they run out of ideas for different things. I think AEW does the same thing, frankly, and I think that's why there's a lot of love for AEW amongst a lot of people right now. It feels like they make stuff up so much as they go. Charlene in the chat is mentioning the ninjas. Something, Flobo, you and I were texting about. You can't tell the difference between the Retribution and the ninjas. I don't think anyone stopped and said these two groups look exactly the same. You can't. So it's hard. When I see them, the first thing I thought when I saw the Retribution, I think everyone thought they were the ninjas.
Right. I think so too.
And even when they came out during SmackDown, it was like, wait, is this the ninjas? It's not the ninjas. What's...
Yeah. You're not supposed to be confused. You're not supposed to be confused about the product. And I know, Flobo, I'm going to ask both of you guys this question. Basically, like, Flobo, you say wrestling goes in ebb and flows, right? There's down periods and up periods, and that's certainly true. But is there ever a point where the business, we saw ratings of Raw being the lowest, I think, all time ever, or like in the last 2 decades, or ever. That's significant for a flagship show. But there's there come a point where, not to say I'm like a precursor to this stuff, but like there's just so much people down about the product that they legitimately are going to become obsolete, especially with the pandemic now where you don't have live crowds. Is there a potential where it could be too much for them to rebound with no live crowds, with no fans actually being in front of the product, where you can start losing people who are just exposed to the product through their TV screens, where they can't be part of it live, which is a big part of the experience, is going live in a lot of times or having that interaction. Is there a point that maybe this is the slow death of wrestling? Could it be?
No. If we're talking about the cultural cash of wrestling, yeah, I think that's the ebb and flow, even with the rise of superior in-ring product like AEW. But when it comes down to what the formula is, WWE, to their credit, has found ways to diversify their revenue streams. So the money they're not getting from live events in Sheboygan and Worcester, Massachusetts, they're getting with like the influx of the merchandise or the international pack deal. This is why they have to have main event every week, even though no one cares about it. And using the characters they can't put on TV, like a Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn, those guys are doing like game shows and other things around too. So I don't think wrestling is dead in that way, but as far as it being cool to talk about without being seen as a weirdo or in a niche like sci-fi lane, like how Star Trek is, yeah, those days are pretty much on this end. I'm not saying it's done. Something can happen, but like it's not like 2018-19. You're like, oh, did you see what happened? Ronda Rousey's back. It's going to be like, hey, do you like wrestling? Because I like wrestling. Let's talk about it. So it's hard to say.
I do think it's an interesting time. As I said before, that right now the WWE doesn't have its big... First off, by the way, I should say, never bet against Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon, he'll win anything he ever wants to be a part of. But it is interesting, for the first time, the WWE doesn't have any of those advantages of having the big arenas and having the full crowds and having the big production value. Right now, the way Impact Wrestling looks, and it has literally like 10% of the viewership, visually on TV looks the same as what they're doing on Raw and SmackDown. And so for the first time ever, all that history, all that money, all that stuff that the WWE has to work with no longer plays a factor. And if someone is a wrestling fan and they are tired of the WWE, they do have alternatives, not just because there's other wrestling shows on, but for the first time ever, they have alternatives that look every bit as good as what the WWE is doing. Because in the past, you've said, oh, well, TNA is an alternative, but you turn on TNA and it didn't look anything like they were doing at Raw.
Right.
We're now, like I said, Impact, which I'm not a ratings guy, but I saw recently they released their ratings. They got like 150,000 viewers compared to Raw, which was at 1.5 million. But on TV, they look like the same show, which is a very dangerous territory for WWE to be in, because now people can look at those and go, you know what, maybe I will give them a try. Maybe I will watch them. It doesn't look like it's not big league anymore, because the crowds are the same size.
Yeah, it's an even playing field, and everything can be decorated the same, because you have no crowds and the buildings can look small,
Shifting gears a bit, Michelle Marbell asked about, get your thoughts about this, because last week on What's Up Flobo After Hours, we talked about the XFL sale being purchased by an investment group involving Danny Garcia, the ex-wife of The Rock, and his producer, and The Rock himself. Just what your thoughts about it, because you guys are sports fanatics, sports fans. Does XFL 3.0 coming soon? Thoughts about that?
First of all, I was wondering what's Vince McMahon's reaction immediately. Is he hating this, or is he kind of glad that if anyone it's The Rock, someone that he considers probably a personal friend? Like, I wonder deep down inside what Vince McMahon's real reaction is. I'm guessing he's kind of hating on it because it was his baby that he failed twice now. But I think the best chance. Listen, I will not bet. You said you won't bet against Vince McMahon. I would. He's lost. I won't bet against The Rock because he's never lost. Okay.
Ooh, even Hercules? Because that movie was trash. That movie was trash.
But that was, hey, everyone's got a start to a career. Okay.
I mean, Hercules was terrible.
I'm an actor who has not had a bomb of a movie early on, but this guy is the highest paid guy in Hollywood. What he touches is gold. He's got charisma. And Danny Garcia, for those that don't know, she's a big time power broker behind the scenes. They have a great relationship, which is cool to see. They were formerly obviously married, but Danny Garcia is a big time businesswoman, and she invests in projects she is confident in. And
she did lead this one too. It was her idea.
So this is no joke. This is a strong team behind The Rock that they have. And for $15 million, I think that was a bargain for them to get a lead. And I think they can make something of it. If a guy like that, like The Rock's going to pump in some entertainment to this league, but also I argue he's got better connections, no question, than Vince McMahon does, with his touch on Hollywood and with people and producers and guys like that, and even the sports world. Remember, the guy is buddies with a lot of athletes and played University of Miami. So I think The Rock is the ideal person if this was to be sold to anyone. And I think this has a chance. If you give it some time, he could make it into something really interesting.
I agree 100% with Jim. Again, I'm not putting anything past Vince McMahon personally, but I will say, unfortunately, there was this feeling before where it was tied to pro wrestling, and it made it the side thing of pro wrestling. But when The Rock has it, it's like cool to like the XFL. It's cool to be a fan of the XFL. For some reason, just because his name is attached to it, it's now a cool league to be a part of. And I think that's going to attract players. I think it's going to attract fans. I think now the XFL has a real chance. If nothing else changes, I would bet when they get back to playing games, more people are watching just because The Rock's name is attached to it.
Do you think young athletes are going to mark out to a 70-some-year-old Vince McMahon or to the coolest guy in Hollywood, The Rock? Young, cool, up-and-coming athletes.
Coolest guy on the planet.
Well, those guys just wanted a place to work, but yeah.
I think it could be the G League of NFL. I think there's a potential for it to be like a sort of a G League of the NFL, where guys who are coming out of college, maybe who, like a Trevor Lawrence, who can't get out, right, who can't go to the NFL because of rule restrictions, but can technically leave, like guys do in NBA, they go play overseas before, if they don't go to college out of high school. I think you could find this league be a proven guy. We're getting elite talent from like the college ranks, or now we might not even have a college sports next season. What if we see a Trevor Lawrence, who could be a number one pick in NFL, go to an XFL or something like that? There's potential there with a crossover with The Rock's name and how cool he's viewed to this young generation versus Vince McMahon that no one probably would know unless they watch wrestling. That's
Yeah.
Not even on the young
point.
side, but on the older side too. Imagine the
Yeah.
guys who are like maybe they're too old to still be great enough to play for the NFL, but they want to make that transition into Hollywood or become a star themselves, and they can use that as sort of the springboard. I think back to like when
Big Three and
Primetime
Ice
was
Cube.
playing. Like imagine like if LT was still playing. But
Yep.
then as he got older, he had the opportunity to go to the XFL run by The Rock before he then
Wait,
jumps
which
off
LT?
into Hollywood.
I'm curious. Which LT?
Lawrence Taylor is who I was
Okay,
thinking.
I don't know. Like the Damon Thompson counts too. I don't know.
Or like
Also,
Deion, something like Deion Sanders would totally be a guy who, like, once he's done playing in the NFL, would go to an XFL before he then makes the jump to Hollywood. Or I could see like an RG3 doing it. I could see so many people who
yeah.
are like,
It could
who
be
are
the
like-
Big Three,
yeah.
what Ice Cube did with that the league, where guys
The
who are
league.
still-
Big
but it could be
Three.
a better version. It could be a better version of the Big Three.
I want to give a shout out to Michelle because, frankly, the two things that Rock brings that the XFL was missing is one, a TV deal. You know, they were basically asking ESPN and Fox for free TV time so they can tell the ad space, and two, an equipment supplier. Rock literally has a built-in agreement with Under Armour, so you can imagine the league merchandise having that much of a glow up, as the kids say. So yeah, I'm excited for it, man. I really am.
Yeah, and you're a
So
fan.
the-
You're a fan of
yeah.
the XFL.
I'm a huge fan of XFL, man.
Yeah.
Like, I really wanted to bring that back, and I was kind of jaded of football. I thought maybe I was a sports fan, but watching it Saturday morning, 10 a.m. on the West Coast with teams that really funky names like the New York Guardians, the Tampa Bay Vipers, and stuff like that, and seeing guys like PJ Walker and Cam Phillips get some like another chance in the NFL, I was like, yeah, why not? Why
And
the heck
Ashley
not?
Brewer bring it to you live, my girl.
ABC Ashley, we met her, man.
ABC?
Seriously, like there's people that are nice and there's people that are beautiful,
Yep.
but there's people, and this transcends all genders, where there's like a glow around them. That is ABC Ashley, man.
We
And,
saw that live. We were
Yeah,
right
we
there.
saw that live at that red
Yep.
carpet event for sure. But thanks for Michelle.
Yeah, I'm
for
still
the
waiting to meet
question.
someone else like that.
What about me?
Hey man, you all set. You all
Just
set.
want
You
to
are.
say real quick, for those of you in the chat are watching now, Derek Fisher, Charlene, Michelle Mabel, Haywood Wong, Jack Farmer, and Jim Alexander are here the entire episode. So if you have a question
Yeah.
for them, like please pick their brains,
Old
how they
favorite.
are personally. Charlene, I know you got some questions for Jack. She's been begging me about that. Just shifting gears, also one more thing. The thing is, as we are creating content, I know we all.
Anissa's in. Hey.
Yeah, Anissa Barr, man. She said from like hours ago. She was like, "I'm in because I want to see Jack fail." No, I'm just kidding. So this on the
Fair,
social media thing,
fair.
we're all like social media creators. You guys hear about this with Instagram? Like they have this whole thing called Reels, basically stealing TikTok's mojo. You can make like little short little clips with music on it. I just want to see your thoughts about this because on one hand, you're kind of like, "Hey, man, this is a 900-pound gorilla. This is Facebook taking the vibe from TikTok." But on the other hand, hey, look, TikTok's been in some trouble. Why not take what's good? Jack, help me out here, man.
This is why I don't jump all over the newest social media platform. Everyone, Vine, it's the new thing. Snapchat, it's the new thing.
All right, Grandpa.
Google Plus, it's the
Friendster.
new thing. Friendster. Like, look, you're right. Facebook rules the world. They monopolized it. Wait a few months and it's going to be on Instagram. Don't worry about trying to build some corny following on a social media network that's not going to be here in a year. That's what it was. It used to frustrate me so much back at AfterBuzz when they would just beat into your head like, we need to do TikTok videos and
was
get
so
those
dumb.
out there.
So
and it was like,
dumb.
what are we doing? Like, we're trying
No.
to jump on this bandwagon that Instagram is going to copy the same way they copied Snapchat, the same way they copied everything else, put them out of business, and move on. I feel like this makes total sense. It's exactly what they were gonna do. And guess what? The next social media platform that's gonna come out, they're gonna do the same thing to that one. So before you get all excited about whatever the next one is, just wait a few months. It's gonna be on Instagram or Facebook. That's the way monopolies work. Or they'll buy it. So same thing.
Jim, what do you think, man?
Yeah.
Are you a TikTok guy?
Hell no, man.
Nah.
Hey, I'll watch it though for Lana or
I want to see Jim do the dances.
Oh yeah.
Hey, you saw my
oh,
dance.
oh.
Hey, you saw my dance for 2 years at AfterBuzz, man. Remember that boudoir took over? Those are the
Oh
moves.
yeah, we did see that. That should have
Yeah,
been
you
there.
saw my moves.
There should have been a TikTok for TK's boudoir.
Probably
TK's
should've been.
booth thing of the week. Charlene is asking, do you boys know Roxy Stryer? And the
I'd
answer,
rather not.
Actually, you can't say that. Why not? Yeah, why not?
Like I
Yeah.
care. She tried to fire me as the manager. I mean, as the HR of AfterBuzz. So I don't know if that's
She
the
is the
right
HR for
title. She
AfterBuzz.
just called herself that.
Or
No, I
was.
mean,
Is she still?
I
huh?
think. Well, what is AfterBuzz really? We don't know what
Yeah.
AfterBuzz is.
But I mean, I've never had a friendship or whatever. I've met her a few times, and that was a few minutes too long anyway. So I'm not a fan.
So you're not going to be a host on the Night the Roxy daily web series on YouTube.
Yeah, I'd rather pass on that every day.
Dang. Okay. Well. All right. Fine. Jack, do you know Roxy?
I've met her a couple times. She was always very nice to me, but I'll be honest. I heard about what happened with Jim, and Jim's my boy, so I wasn't super. I'm not a super fan, but I do know she was always nice to me personally.
Nice play on words there, super fan.
No, I mean, yo, truthfully, like I never had a problem with Roxy, but then hearing the how Jim was ousted. I say Jim like he's in the room. How you were ousted.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, that's close, man. Like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What is AfterBuzz? Thank you so much
Yeah,
for your
sure.
question, Dylan Matthews. Dylan is the OG. That's what's up. No, one of the things I realize now in quarantine, is how dating and meeting people has changed.
Yep.
You would go and say, let's have dinner or let's meet for lunch. And even now, that's a whole thing, because like I got to strap on, put on my mask and make sure my mask matches my outfit and all that. I know Jack and I were in SoCal, but Jim, let me ask you, you're in the
Yep.
Midwest. I mean, what's the vibe? Do you meet people in the flesh now or you just keep it virtual?
Hell yeah, man.
I want to hear you say that you meet people in the flesh.
Yeah.
In the flesh,
No,
like
here's the
in
thing.
the flesh. That's just
I will say that it's different in the Midwest. Chicago, Corona is nowhere as bad as it is out in California, where it's a hot spot. So that changes dynamic. A lot of more things are open here. So here's the thing. I mean, yeah, you just try to make it work. For me, it's always been like coffee dates. That's where I always start off with. But now I've gone to like walks in the park and just straight up like things that it's awesome. I mean, hell, it's not costing me a dime, so that's perfect for dating too a lot of times. I mean,
you gentlemen. That's
yeah, no,
that's not costing me a dime.
no, you don't need to be a gentleman if you just do the right thing and say the right thing. But the thing is, yeah, it's still possible. It's just like it's possible to just. It's easier now. I think girls understand that you don't like. We're not in a place where we're going to fancy places and like dinners, and because that stuff is either closed or there's limits now, or tough to get into, or you know what I mean. With the distancing, it doesn't work out as well. So I think people are way more open now to do simple things, which is kind of cool. It's old school in a way, which is going to a park for a walk. Just going out, sitting on a bench and talking, like the simple things. Which
I'm
actually,
taking notes, man. Dating is so hard these days. I'm telling you.
no, it's cool to connect with someone that way because when you're going out to dinner and stuff, there's so much like noise around, like literally and figuratively, right? Of the setting, the location, like what are you gonna, the pressure, like there's no pressure. You're just actually talking to someone and getting to know them. So I feel like that's been cool aspect of it. And hey, man, same results, so it's all good for me.
That sounds so creepy. Oh jeez. All right,
no.
so Jack. I mean, look, this is kayfabe, but you do have a significant other.
Yeah.
Has that
What does
changed?
kayfabe mean?
Kafabi. I have no idea.
Kafabi, yeah.
But like, has that changed? Have you done more things together, or it's kind of like let's just like Netflix and chill? Like, how does that work with this whole?
Not too much. It's more like when you go to hang out with friends or see friends, and there's that weird like figuring out where they're at with the masks situation and where they're at with their comfort level hanging out and going out. Because some people they don't take things very seriously at all, and they're like, "Come here, let me put my arm around you without a mask on." And other people are like, "Hey, let's only do Zoom conversations for the next 6 years." And
I feel
like
so weird. Yeah.
finding that that. Because I always want to play it safe personally. Like, so I bring a
Right.
mask with me everywhere. But it's that like me and my buddy, we went for a bike ride together, which just sounds funny. Like he reached out to me. He's like, "Hey, you want to go ride bikes?" I was like, "Okay."
I want the song to play. Da 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 da.
but we were like, "Sure, I guess." And it actually turned out great. Like we got outside, we were getting some exercise. But like, do you wear a mask while you're riding bikes outside? Do you not wear a mask while you're riding bikes outside? Do you? And so that's always that weird, like, what's the appropriate way to handle that, because you want to be safe, you want to be respectful, you
Right.
don't want to be weird, you don't want to overdo it, you don't want to. So that's been the weird thing to me. So it's always like you bring the mask, and you're like, am I putting it on?
Right, social norms.
You gotta
Yeah.
respect if someone wants to put it, you gotta respect it. If not, also cool. But as long as you're kind of keeping distance, actually, you don't want to go in public place littered with people and then just like no mask. Like you do need to keep that in a perspective. That's still serious.
I just feel like condoms are easier. It was like, dude, I want to get the clap. Now it's like, I don't know to wear the mask in this situation. It's weird. Like, look, man, look, Jack, you came over just today just to say what's up. And I was like, well, I was outside. There's a posting on my apartment complex to wear your mask outside. But I was like, imagine if you rolled up without a mask. Would I be that guy? Oh, great. You had one. I don't feel nearly as bad. But then there's this weird thing. Do we do the fist bump? Do we do the elbow thing? It's just a whole weird vibe, bro.
Yeah.
I DJ'd a wedding. It was kind of like that. Just this weekend, I DJ'd a wedding.
That's right. Weren't you like in the desert in Joshua?
Yeah, in Joshua Tree.
No,
Man,
thank you. No, thank you.
Everywhere to work.
It was it was cool. Like, they were a very cautious couple, so like everyone was wearing masks there, so it worked. There was no weirdness to it, but there is still this very like weird thing about it. Again, I'm always on the safe side, especially at an event where I'm working, because
The other people,
you've got liability issues and things there too. But it was a hot day. Actually, it wasn't as bad as it could have been, but it was a pretty warm day out in the desert in a suit. But you got the gimmick. You got to protect the gimmick, right?
Fancy Jack Farmer's fancy in the desert. That's just terrible.
I keep saying I should have went for Pajama Jack Farmer. That's what I should have. That should have been the
That's your teenagers doing pajamas.
Dude, I mean, these days anything's up for grabs,
So Charlene is asking you guys collectively, what have you been watching now? I've been watching Fast and Furious with my boys minus Tokyo Drift. By the way, Charlene, you just don't skip books of the Bible. And you don't skip entries of the Fast and Furious franchise. What are you doing?
Tokyo Drift was really good, though.
Yo, for real? Seriously? Yeah, dude, I was in a podcast where we watched them all back to back. I'll say this.
It's one of my top 2 of the franchise.
I've never seen any of them.
Three was bad at the time, but it's underrated, and 4 was good at the time, and it's overrated. That's my personal thing. But what have you guys been watching right now? I'm just curious.
So obviously I'm still reviewing movies and all that stuff's coming out, stuff that's been in a canon VOD. So I'm doing interviews, man. Like I said, I just saw The Tax Collector. It was badass with Shia LaBeouf.
Really?
Yeah, it's like a South Central David Ayer movie. He does a lot of those South at the End of Watch, Harsh Times. So it's one of those in a series. I mean, Shia plays a white cholo dude, man, from the hood, and it's
excuse me, what?
A white cholo.
Did you just say a white cholo? How does that even? Okay, go ahead, man.
That's what I talked
Sounds
about.
like me.
The start of a white cholo.
Joker farmer. Yeah.
Yes. So there's cool stuff. If you're watching some of the VOD things like horror people, there's this movie called Followed. Awesome horror movie. I saw it back in the LA Burbank Festival like 2-3 years ago. Didn't get released till now. I remember talking to the director afterwards. It's like, no one's gonna ever see this. They came in the #1 movie in America in June. It's an awesome horror movie. It's like a found footage, but it's like a good one. So yeah, there's stuff out there. So I'm watching. I did not see King of Staten Island, but I'm getting the screener any day now. So I'm looking forward to actually seeing that. I'm not a huge Pete Davidson fan. I think he's kind of weird.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Just something weird about the guy. Like, I don't know if he's got maybe some kind of issues or something, which is a whole different deal. But you dating Ariana Grande, I think that messed him up too, maybe that, extra thing. But I guess, I like Judd Apatow. So anything he does is always usually good too. But there's stuff to do. I'm telling you, the streaming platforms are still pushing out some good stuff. Every week there's interesting documentaries are coming out. Like, there's good stuff if you just look, man.
Can I tell you a pet peeve of mine is those movies that say they're a comedy, but then it's really just one of those like emotional, introspective kind of things where it's like a person who always does comedies, but then they make their own, and then it's like not funny, but they say it's funny.
It's quirky, man.
I'm thinking about like Dan in real life isn't funny, but they're like, oh, it's funny. Steve Carell's in it. Or I just watched a show with Kristen Wiig in it. It was something, Welcome to Me. And it said it was this comedy, and it was about how she gets her own like TV show, but then it's really just about her like going through issues, and it's not funny at all. And I hate when they do these things. Like either tell me it's a
They're
comedy.
funny people. They're trying to sell the funny concept that's going to be funny because of the funny people in it.
Yeah, it's so frustrating. Just tell me it's not a comedy.
It's a quirky, it's a
I won't
quirky
watch
comedy.
your movie.
Whatever all that means.
I have no idea what that means either. Like
Yeah.
it's one of the
Yeah.
things when you do stand up, which is 6 years today. Woo!
Woo,
Hey, yeah,
congratulations.
all that.
Yeah, man, it's a milestone. But it's
That's
funny
a long
when you
time
see.
ago.
Yeah, it was, and I haven't quit yet. But it is funny to see people who come up and are like, "Oh, well, this is a quirky comedy," and you're watching, you're like, quirky just means you're just being like off the wall for the sake of being off the wall. Like it isn't like Dumb and Dumber where it's off the wall and there's like a universe of rules. Like, oh, these guys are idiots. That's the whole point. But like it's a movie where like everyone has like a catchphrase or everyone wears a funny hat, and there's like. Oh my God. Remember the classic movies? I can't think of a comedy that made me laugh in a theater. Maybe 21 Jump Street. But like before that, I can't think of a comedy that made me laugh in a theater that's from the past 5 or 10 years. I don't know why that is.
I was gonna say The Hangover. I think was the last movie.
Yeah,
I saw in
that's what
theater
I was-
that was
That's
like
10 years
really
ago, though.
laughed hard
Yep.
in the theater.
That was legit a decade ago. It was 2008,
God, that
I
hurts.
think.
That hurts. It
2009?
hurts to hear that.
Yeah. I'm just putting it out there. And the second one, I don't mind as much, but I get when people are like, nah, I'm not like that one because it was the same thing as the first. But you watch these comedies now featuring like up and coming actors. You're like, oh my gosh, am I an old fogey? Am I just like out the game? Like what is comedy, man? Like
There's something my mom said to me a long time ago that has started to stick with me as I've gotten older, and that is they only make comedies for young people and old people, and you'll find a time in your life where you're in between the two, and comedies aren't funny to you because they
Can
don't
I
make
say
them
your
for
mom
people
drops
in
the
middle.
biggest like nuggets of wisdom ever?
She does like, and I hate it because I wish she never told me because now I know. Now I know I'm in that little pit, and I know that I'm not gonna find anything good. But yeah, it's either for kids or it's for old people, and there's not like a good middle. There's not
I guess
a good.
Curb Your Enthusiasm. I don't know.
I guess yeah.
Yeah.
I got a
What's your
question from Charlene, actually. What's my favorite interview?
hit
Yeah.
me?
There we go. Okay, so that's a tough one. I've interviewed thousands, I guess.
Oh, okay, don't brag, bro. Just ask
Oh,
the question. Excuse me, I've watched so many celebrities. Asshole.
I've interviewed 4.
I know.
You're on your way, buddy.
I'm gonna count you two right now. So I'm at 6.
It's a low
I've
bar.
interviewed so many. I just don't know.
I honestly, I'd say my top 3 interviews are 2 of them are wrestlers, which is crazy because I haven't interviewed that many wrestlers. I will say that John Cena's a top 3 interview. I love the guy. I mean, it's crazy because I hated him. I was this Cena sucks kind of guy chanting, but the guy is so nice in person. He gave me so much time, so self-deprecating. Like who he is when we see him kind of off screen is legit John Cena in person. I had a chance to talk to him out in LA, and he just gave me a ton of time during an autograph signing, and he even delayed the signing start, to just talk to me extra. So I will always appreciate it because he didn't have to do that. Man, my interview with Miro, Rusev, I mean, it was a...
I think it's De Niro. I was like, what?
No, Miro. Rusev was super cool. I mean, you talk about a guy who just completely opened up. Never. I learned so much about him from that interview. I had no idea about him. I thought it was super cool. So I really appreciate him. And yeah, so I mean, I think 2 of my top 3 were probably wrestlers. I interview a lot of cool actors and directors too. It always stands out, when you kind of talk to certain people. But yeah, I mean, I just interviewed this girl recently. It was probably one of my top interviews. She's a Polish actress. She's been in like Eli Roth's movie, that crazy one that he did in the jungle. I forgot. Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm trying to drive.
That blood one he did in the jungle a fefew years back.
Right.
Slipped my mind. So she was in that, and she was in Sirens. All these like kind of, you probably recognize her. Her name is Magda Apanovich.
Well, what's the question? What's your worst rudest celebrity interview? Dylan Matthews wants to know that one.
It's tough because usually, here's the thing. I hate interviewing kids, man. They're just like, and it's not their fault most of the time. It's just like, yeah, cool. I need to dig for things, when I talk to a kid. So I hate interviewing kids usually because it's just like they're just not ready to interview. A lot of times they're just not polished for that. I don't know if I had the craziest interviews. I know some celebrities I don't like, that I've interacted with and I've seen. I'm not a fan of certain people that, well, I'll say this. Most of Hollywood that you think are like, like big time stars are actually cool in person. Like Will Smith's a dude, he's a real cool dude.
Jealous.
And like McConaughey's cool. Like they have that star power to them, but they're actually like nice people. Like I wasn't a fan of, let's say certain, I tell you, the worst people I didn't like that I met were like on TV hosts, that popular, famous TV hosts.
Yeah.
The worst.
I know, right? TV hosts are just dime a dozen.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't know, why do you take themselves so seriously? Why did they treat themselves as stars? Because they're just TV hosts, And hell, I interview the same people they do. So I don't know why they take themselves so seriously and that. But celebrity-wise, I pretty much liked most of them. I've had cool interactions seeing like behind like award shows, seeing like Shia LaBeouf interact with Adam Sandler's like a trip, and I'm standing a few feet away. And to see, a lot of them just be normal when you're in a setting, well, whatever. But
Adam Sandler said I was an incredible DJ. So I'm just
that's right. Hey,
Yeah.
you know this. So we've been around that in some way. So I'd say in general, I think celebrities are actually pretty cool. The ones I've interacted with or seen, I've never had an issue really with anyone. And I think appreciate that, Demo. I try to ask questions that people would want to know. That's I always put myself in a mind of like, hey, what would a fan want to know that you can't Google, right? Because you can Google anything these days. But I want to know about the person, what they do in their real life outside of the industry, and what kind of questions I can. And I'm not scared to ask anything, man. I've been asking a lot of like on-screen nudity questions recently, man. So that's been the last interview.
And it wasn't a celebrity.
You wanted to ask.
Hey, it's me too, but hey, I gotta know some of these things.
Boo thing of the week.
Boo thing of the week. Speaking of like hosting things, so we were talking about this before over the weekend about like if we had a chance to host a show, what would it be? So let's play a game. Let's find out what will be a show that we can all host. And I want people in the chat to vote for their favorite, right? So here is my idea for a show that we can all do. Imagine this, right? We get somebody incredibly famous. Maybe your boy Will Smith, because you know him like this. Or your boy Dominic Dijakovic, right?
My boy.
You have him on stage, you have him in a seat, and we're all sitting around him. And every time one of us asks a question, his chair like swivels back and forth or something, So that way he's like, so what do you think, Will? What's your favorite album? What do you think, Will? What's your favorite, like, is it true with you and Jada? We had that thing with August? Like, I think that's the best show, the 3-way interview. What do you think?
I love it.
Let's do it.
Down. I want to ask a question. I have a question. I forgot. Just so they like.
Just have him going around in circles. Why not?
I loved what I think James Corden started a new cool thing, because usually you have these celebrities come out and do like these one-on-ones, but James Corden started having conversations with people and bringing everyone on a couch together. And I think that was kind of a start of breaking things down and breaking the fourth wall and having kind of conversations instead of interviews, and I think that's always a cool aspect to it. So you can do that with multiple people. I think it's like just having, I'd call it a shooting shit time, man, where we get some celebrity and we're just throwing out the most random things, asking him about like first dates and like, you know what I mean? Like stuff that you don't hear a celebrity talk about, but just like legit, we're just like boys having, a drink and just talking like we are now. Just have a celebrity with us.
I like it.
See, I was thinking something, we don't need a celebrity. What I was thinking of is, every good competition has commentators, right? You look at whether it be pro wrestling or UFC or football or basketball, there's people commenting on what's happening and they're explaining what's going on. I think in the age of Zoom dates, we need to have commentary on your guys' dates online as they happen.
You don't want that, man.
So as it's happening, As it's
You
happening,
know-
we could be like, here's Jim going for the age-old move, or we could be
Well,
like,
this
I
one's been
don't
R-rated
know,
real quick.
I don't know if Flobo should have said that one.
That's true. That is accurate.
That was an
Me
R-rated.
making mistakes.
I'm all for it, but man,
I would watch Jim's thing, like how like a medical student watch someone doing surgery, like, oh, that's how it's done. Because I am totally clueless when it comes to women. I have no idea how to do it. No idea how to work
I
it.
think a good show would be too. All of us have like something we're great at, right? And I think it would be cool if we had like a discussion or like do something and we all use our top skills. So mine could be like dating advice or dating or whatever, just kind of throwing the wisdom there. Flobo, I mean, you got like the whole world of comedy and you just have this second kind of gear to you and like fandom and nerd stuff and geek
Still
stuff, like
single.
you have the knowledge, man, with that stuff. And I feel like Jack brings like, listen, man, your stories with the DJ stuff, I could probably hear this for days. The stuff that you've seen and heard and the stuff that you've learned from those, things that you've done as a DJ. Oh my God, that would be gold.
Yeah, I think that'd be fun to share too. I don't know if I could. I might get in trouble. I'd be in if
Well,
someone's
yeah.
like, which,
Bro, you don't want to see me on a date, man. I am so awkward. It's not even funny.
But then
I need help.
when your earpiece telling you kind of like,
That
oh,
would be
that's-
it. That would be it. I would need help on a date. Like I
That
am
would be
the
the
worst
thing.
at reading signals.
Flobo, you're on the date.
Yeah.
You're the player. Jim, you're the coach. So you're telling him what plays to play, and then
But
I'm
you're
the
the commentator.
like talking about what's going on and being like, I don't know if Flobo has the confidence for this line. Let's see if it works.
oh
out.
my God, this would be gold. Actually, I love this concept.
It would be me messing things. It would be like Jim be like, "Hey, Flo, just compliment her," and I'm like, "You smell good." I mean, as creepy as
As
possible.
Jim's like, what the hell are you doing?
It's
What
like
a costly mistake.
audible.
It's like time out.
What I do? What I do? That's so, I don't want to be on the show anymore. It's terrible.
Flobo, we're gonna have to sub you out. We need a relief.
Dude, how bad do you have to be on a date to have someone like have you on the shoulder?
And it's like Tyrese comes in to fill in for you, so you feel terrible.
Can't do that.
Just showing his abs. Damn,
Like,
Tyrese again.
Aw.
Tyrese got me again. Wow.
But that would be fun. That would be fun.
Wow. I don't know what to say about that. I think we should do it now. I feel like that'd be the best sketch ever.
Can you imagine the entertainment factor of that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, weren't you on like a dating show at one point, Jim, this year? Or is that like
Yeah,
not
I'm
NDA
actually
signed?
roll that out. That's my nice thing. I'm already kind of the thing. I'm gonna start doing a YouTube thing where I'm just gonna be dropping advice people daily, and then we're gonna have conversations and have tips, and just like random thought, like dating wise and just life wise, right? Because I got this from a lot of conversation with you guys. You guys are always like, "Oh man,
You losers.
no,
You guys need me in your life, that's for sure.
you're doing much better. You have something stable I don't." So that's something about me.
I don't know about that.
But that-
Stable's relative in this day. And
I mean, she's around. That counts.
no, oh, I thought she just meant life, like things are stable.
Oh,
in life. Not that. Never
Oh, no,
mind.
that's not
Never
stable.
mind.
No, for real.
I misread that. That's not what I meant. I'm sorry.
yeah.
Jim's life is a dating show. Yes, I want to see that.
Well, we've heard, you guys heard stories, man. There's a TV show worth of stories there.
The only show that wear a condom to watch the show is
probably.
is to watch Jim Alexander.
I'll tell you one thing, man. I'm
People
kind of
watching are gonna look like a Gallagher show, but
Hey. low key truth, man. These days, girls they don't ask for their things. So
I wouldn't know about that. I get as far as handshakes. I'm like, oh my gosh, he touched me. I don't know what I do. I'm just an innocent Billy, man. It's
it's a
what it
different
is.
ball game, man. So you got to come prepped, and you got to make sometimes the hard decisions and say no. Imagine that.
I can't. Jack Farmer, the summer's almost over, man, and I can't believe it because we spent most of it inside.
I know.
Is there anything else you want to do before we get to Labor Day or like September 21st, the official fall date?
I mean, I'm fortunate. Being in Southern California, you kind of get summer anytime you want. So like the weather side of things doesn't get to me too much. But I really am starting to feel the lack of football though. I want everyone to be safe first and foremost, so no one read this the wrong way. But I really would love to see football come back and have like real football games happening with people there and the excitement and the fun of that. I'm a Seahawks fan, and I feel like they're gonna be all right this year. So I'd love to see that again. I'm definitely all about them being healthy and safe first. So again, don't read that as in I don't think they should take precautions, but I do wish I want to see football again. I miss football. I miss caring about football. I miss real football on TV. I want to see that, and it seems like we're not going to get any college football this year. From what I understand, maybe I'm misreading the tweets I've been reading, but I really hope we get some football. That's all I want right now.
What about football?
I think we'll get football, but I don't know if we're going to finish football. I think NBA and NHL have done a great job of the bubble. I think the bubble is the only thing that can preserve a season, because you're seeing when you're giving freedom to people to do stuff on their everyday life and when you're traveling, right? Look at the MLB.
Mm-hmm.
That's an example of a mess. Team has been in COVID, hasn't played because of COVID since July 27th, the St. Louis Cardinals. And we're like mid-August already. That's a problem. And NFL, it's even worse set up because you're going to have teams traveling all over country. You're not going to even have regional, because MLB at least has central, east, west, right, regions. So I think they're in for a rude awakening that without a bubble, without restrictions, look at the amount of people on an NFL roster needed. And we're talking about NBA, you need 12 people, right, on each team. We're talking about 53-man rosters minimum.
That's not even counting like the coaches and the support staff. Yeah,
totally. And it's a lot of traveling, groups and stuff. So I love football. I mean, football for me is fall. Fall is football. Right, that's your marks. Your summer's your fun, and then fall is football season, and that's what dictates the season. But I just don't think we're going to get a full season. I think they'll start, but unfortunately, I don't see it going far because especially another outbreak.
The frustrating thing, too, is they've had more time than anyone to plan for it, though. And it feels like they haven't done anything. It feels like they just kind of are going, I hope this works out.
Roger Goodell is Vince McMahon of NFL.
It's like, and the fact that you can see these, like, dominoes falling, okay, I've always said, obviously we should have taken this seriously a lot sooner than we did. But I've been saying, look, if you didn't take it seriously in March, okay, it was a big deal, whatever. Even April, okay, look, there's a lot of stuff. Maybe you just weren't ready for all this stuff to be happening. But, man, by, like, May, June, like, you should have been planning that this was going to be a long-term thing. And the fact that, they don't have the bubbles in place. They don't have whatever their plan is in place. And, I don't know how you have that many people on a field at one time, players alone. I mean, and they huddle up. Like, the whole thing is they're huddling up the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you can't socially distance. And Jim, to your point, it's crazy. I would be so angry. Like, I know it's easy for us to say, like, hey, everyone needs to be safe. But if you have a player that you're paying millions of dollars to play, they better not be going out without a mask on. They better not be doing these things that are going to get them sick, because they're getting paid millions of dollars. It's not like one of us regular folks who don't make a ton of money.
Right.
It's like, if I'm paying someone like $10 million a year, you better stay in your home. But
they can't
all
patrol them.
year.
They can't patrol. That's the thing. You think a 24-year-old, stud in NFL gets a, late night call from a girl. You think he's going to go or something? That's the thing.
Man, have needs.
Control that. Yeah. How are you going to patrol? You can't.
32-year-old.
Well, different. They might have.
So let me ask you, Jim, some question though. Anything in the summer that you want to get done, like before the weather turns? Because you actually live in a city where it gets cold. So.
Well, hell yeah. Not lately, but. The thing is, for me, it's been such a weird year. I got my stuff. I was just in LA a month ago, moving my stuff. Like, I felt like I've been moving this summer and preparing to move the whole time and not knowing what's going to happen. So this summer went we're talking August. When we get to like SummerSlam time, SummerSlam is almost the end of the summer for me. It's like, back to school time. It always was growing up.
Yeah.
So, summer's pretty much over. We're in the last stretch of it, like the middle of the fourth quarter of the summer. So I just think at this point, I mean, just keep on doing what you're doing. You can't plan that much. It's such an unusual year. It doesn't even, we lost so much track of time when even summer started, like for me, I'm just enjoying going to the pool out here, that having that opportunity to go to a pool, that's open. So that's a little bit preserving me of summer, just like, oh, I get to go to a pool. That's kind of cool, because if you're in LA, I don't know if pools are open, or what's going on. So it's just kind of riding out this, and hopefully the fall will have some sort of like football, at least like signs of normalcy, but this is a year up for grabs. Nothing's normal, and it just riding out the wave. The most important thing is, trying to stay away from COVID, right? And healthy. Like it's like you're just trying to, it's like being in a game and all you're trying to do is just not get hit. So you're just running away constantly. You're not planning to like score or do anything. You're just trying to run so you don't get tagged, or hit. So for me, it's just like, maintain what I can do, keep on doing Real Talker from my end, doing interviews, and, whatever's allowable, I can do. If I can go on a date, I'll go, but that's, I kind of, it's got a heightened meaning now. Like you appreciate these things more than before.
Wow, that's incredibly depressing. But that's all the time we have for this edition. What's up, Flobo After Hours? I want to thank you all for both coming through, being the first guest on the show. Chat, let me know what you think. Should we have some more guests, or we can bring back Jack and Jim? You let me know. And you can have right here. We can talk about wrestling, talk about life and culture and all that stuff in between. But before we get out of here, first of all, my man, Jim, where the world can find you online, good sir?
Hey, you can still find me. RealTalker.com is the place. Real Talker on YouTube. Subscribe. A lot of my interviews there. So yeah, that's where I'm around. The Jim Alexander on social media was where I'm at. It's, man, I got to say this. It's been cool to see everyone kind of chat. It's been nostalgic to see Derek Fisher's and Charlene and my boy Dylan Matthews and, everyone. It's kind of cool. And Anissa, it gives you kind of like an old school feel, and you guys together. I liked whoever I did mention, guys who you are, so the loyalty's still there. Demo,
I like what did you mention.
I'm counting out the fans. This is like a first timer for me. We're in 2020 when things are happening that, when I'm asking, everyone, thanking everyone for participating, and that's something, right?
Aw, Jack Farmer, where can the world find you online?
You can find me at Real Jack Farmer across all social media. And, of course, you can find me drinking Broasters coffee. Go do yourself a favor. Go to www.thebroasters.com. Use promo code BROCODE1. Get some coffee. Support the homie. It's always a win-win-win there. But at Real Jack Farmer, that's where the news is. Just check me out there. Like, comment, subscribe. You know the deal.
Dang, man, you're all over the place. And of course, it's your boy Flobo. You can follow me on Twitter at Flobo Voice and at Instagram at Flobo Voice. It's private, but you can still follow me over there. Flobito on Instagram and Flobito.com. I didn't know, people don't know this. It's just kind of interesting. But I am an actual novelist. So if you have some time, check out Amazon.com. Put my name in there, Flobo Voice. You can see my short story collections. There are 3 of them, and my 2 novellas, because apparently James Lott Jr. got upset that I didn't mention that. And of course, you can support the homie 2 ways. 1, buy a t-shirt, a hoodie, or mug over at flobito.threadless.com, because we have masks as well. We're doing it. And you can also get bonus content at the Patreon, patreon.com/FloboBoy. See, over there, we have all the interviews, all the stuff's happening right there. Yep. You guys made this one of the best episodes of What's Up Flobo After Hours ever. I appreciate that. But of course, until next time, man, as Jack Farmer would say, do your best and be yourself.
There you go.